Howdy everyone, it's been a minute. Sorry for the lack of videos lately. I've actually been frozen in a block of ice for the last few months, and now that I've been thawed out like an old bag of broccoli left in the freezer, I now have to play catch up on everything I've missed. Is it wrong to reference Marvel in a DC video? Anyway, the real reason for my absence is that I've once again moved across state lines, this time to the wondrous land of Pennsylvania. And in that time, I've been preoccupied with various constructive hobbies, activities, interests, but in all actuality, it's been nice to unplug for a bit as I moved and enjoy seeing newer movies without the pressure of having to do a whole review. That is, when I actually did see new movies. To be honest, I've been catching up on Mad Men and Fargo. However, I've been hearing a lot about Warner Brothers as of late, for better or worse, and I of course have an extra interest in how the DC part of the company is going. Because despite their oversaturation of the media, I do love comic book characters, and I've always preferred DC over Marvel, as shown here. And whew, Marvel, don't even get me started on that can of worms. Anyway, with the first trailer of Lanterns officially dropping, I thought it would be neat to check in on old Jimmy Gunn to see where things currently stand with his attempt to build out WB's second attempt at a cinematic universe, with this phase of projects called Gods and Monsters. So everyone relax, settle in with a nice cup of hot cocoa, and prepare for everyone's 28th favorite movie YouTuber to tell it like it is. Oh, and of course if you haven't already, please subscribe. So, as I was saying, things in the world of Warner Brothers are getting shaky to say the least, with the latest news indicating that Paramount is poised to buy the whole company. And on the chance that this deal does indeed go through and Paramount continues to amass more power, let me be the first to congratulate our new media overlords. I trust that all those esteemed geniuses will absolutely do what is right for both the interest of cinema and the audience. Though hopefully they won't make the HBO Max interface as shitty as the Paramount Plus one is. Sir, please come with us. No, I was kidding! And with the news of this acquisition comes rampant speculation that the DCU will again be given a creative overhaul. AKA, creative director James Gunn would be given the proverbial boot, and the studio will try relaunching their comic book franchise a second time. Now, personally, I don't think that these new owners would go down this road, given that the DCU is in full swing and it is hot off the heels of a pretty solid first entry. If this company is trying to compete against the Marvel juggernaut, I can't imagine it would be worth the tens of millions it would take to scrap the established plans laid by Gunn and partner Peter Safran. That is, unless it's Snyderverse time. No, kidding. Unless... Remember when people were saying that Saudi Arabia was going to restore the Snyderverse? Man, look, I actually like those movies, but I swear those online fans are like those Japanese holdouts after World War II. So what really prompted this whole video was DC dropping the first trailer for the upcoming Green Lantern show, and I have thoughts. Going into this, I already knew that Gunn was going for a more grounded take on the story, a buddy cop mystery much in the vein of True Detective. In fact, he specifically mentioned True Detective as a reference. And this direction made sense from a business standpoint, given that the last time the general public saw the property was in 2011, which, yeah, I don't have to remind you how bad that movie was, considering that Ryan Reynolds does so every day. Because God knows that's the only piece of shit movie that guy was in. And True Detective is my favorite piece of writing ever, so needless to say my excitement was high. And after watching the trailer, I can definitively say that it looks... fine? It looks fine, I guess. Not saying I'm no longer looking forward to it or anything, but I fear they may have gone too far in the opposite direction of the movie. Now I know it's only a teaser, and you can't give a full assessment of something until you actually watch the darn thing, but a first trailer is always the first chance a filmmaker has to display the tone and feel a movie or show is going for. It's meant to set the stage for audience expectations, and I was just hoping for a little bit more. Plus, isn't it weird that these studios always shove their cosmic heroes in the desert? What's with that? I'm sure Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre will be great, but the repeated use of the F-bomb just makes it look like it's trying too hard to be edgy, just like Gunn's other projects. The show looks like it'll feature some solid tension between the two characters, but could you have added a smidge of color? Now I see why they didn't call this show Green Lantern. I'm seeing some people online say that the suit may look bland now, but when they use the power ring, it'll cause it to glow up. Which, Yeah, that'll be cool if they go in that direction, but this also just could be copium. It emphasizes a common problem that all of these James Gunn DCU projects seem to have, which is a feeling of, how do you say this, cheapness. With both the costumes and characters being used just lacking the cinematic punch that I would come to expect with stuff like this. Look, I dug the heck out of last year's Superman. I think it's a great portrayal of the character, and I've now watched it several times, but it wasn't perfect. And one of the issues I had with it was the way that it looked. Choosing Henry Bram as the cinematographer after he shot The Flash was definitely a choice, and Superman didn't look anywhere near as bad as that turd did, but I just wasn't a fan of the way he used the whole wide-angle lens thing, especially in conjunction with the choice of the color palette. And it especially doesn't help when you compare it to the way the last Superman movie looked. I know Man of Steel didn't have as strong of a narrative or an emotional core, but come on, it looked better. And don't even get me started on Supergirl. The comic it's based on by Tom King features some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen in the medium. The colors absolutely pop off the page. And with the director from Mission Impossible Fallout, I was honestly expecting to see a film that looked more along the lines of what Project Hail Mary ended up looking like. That movie, God, whew, it's gonna be good. So when I saw the first trailer for Supergirl, I gotta admit, it really knocked the wind out of my sails, man. I still think Millie Alcock is gonna knock it out of the park, and the original graphic novel provides a solid template to base a tentpole summer movie off of, but I'd be lying if I say my excitement wasn't diminished. I mean, look at the way she swings the chain. There's just no weight to it. So frustrating. And keep in mind, this is also coming hot off the heels of DCU's official second outing, Peacemaker Season 2, a show that started off rather strong but ended up being a complete dumpster fire. I always felt the first season was okay, but this one attempted to meld it into a larger universe, a feat which is kinda hard when you already have an ensemble cast and you're limited to 25 minutes an episode. And I'm sorry, but Rick Flag Sr. freaking sucks. I've never been on the Frank Grillo train. He looks like he should be driving an Uber while he gets his real career started as a hustler influencer, and the decision to make him an evil Nick Fury just doesn't land with me. That, coupled with the whole Salvation story arc, which is supposed to tie into the universe at large, is just deflating my hopes of Man of Tomorrow. And that's another thing. Gunn said Peacemaker Season 2 is essential viewing for future projects, but there's no way kids can watch this. So you go from 2025 Superman, which is super family friendly, to a show about depression that features cocaine-fueled orgies and characters dropping F-bombs like it's their job? Maybe that wasn't the smartest move, Jimmy. So if I'm being honest, my overall excitement for the DCU is rocky to say the least. But I hate being a Debbie Downer, and it's not all bad. Gunn is a genuine fan who has made great movies in the past, and I actually really dug this slate overall. Well, the ones that haven't been already canceled, that is. It's refreshing to blend stories featuring the bigger heroes along with the lesser-known ones. I didn't want a carbon copy mold of Marvel's Phase 1, especially when you have the kinds of far-out characters that DC has. And from the jump, he was showing a willingness to avoid the mistakes made by the past regime, and his commitment to making each individual project the best that it could be while also being aware of the universe at large made sense. I didn't hate the DCEU movies of the past, but it was clear that after the dumpster fire that was Justice League, WB executives just let the filmmakers go wild without caring about the franchise overall, which was a strategy that helped to make some of the individual films stand out, but that doesn't necessarily bode well when you're trying to make a series that's actually cohesive. I was fully prepared for the DC universe to hit the ground running, especially at a time where the Marvel Cinematic Universe has seemingly collapsed in on itself, as the world of the Avengers become bogged down by multiverse plots, forced cameos, a lack of likable characters, and an overall rapid decline in quality. This seemed like the perfect opportunity for the Trinity and the rest of the League to get their due respect. By the way, does anyone even remember Deadpool 3 came out like a year ago? I totally called that thing being mid, so I stand vindicated. Anyway. Oh, and speaking of the Trinity, there's a bat-shaped elephant in the room that is just lingering over everything. As director Matt Reeves prepares work on the Batman Part 2, aka the thing that's going to be keeping me alive for the next 2 years, James Gunn is faced with the unenviable task of trying to create a different version of the character that can be used in the Justice League. One that is obviously going to be more fantastical and comic booky in a future movie called The Brave and the Bold. Now I know there was a number of people who wanted to simply merge the two universes and make Pattinson the Batman for the Justice League, but I was always against that. Matt Reeves created a version of the character who was very much grounded in a realistic crime story, and I want to make sure to respect his wishes of keeping his stuff separate. And I think that's what James Gunn wants too. The problem is now he's apparently getting Christina Hodson, writer of The Flash, to write the script for The Brave and the Bold that already has Andy Muschietti, director of The Flash, attached to it. And this just sounds so awful. Muschietti was already tapped as director since before The Flash came out, but I was hoping that in the following years Gunn would have kicked him to the curb under the banner of creative differences. I don't know, man. I love the idea of a version of the Caped Crusader that isn't afraid to get into the more supernatural aspects of the world, but not with this creative team. I think what would be best is to just put The Brave and the Bold off and further develop it as Matt Reeves is allowed to finish out his trilogy, and bump up the production of the Wonder Woman movie instead. Maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, it would be smart to introduce the DCU version of Batman in a Justice League movie. That way, you would clearly distinguish to audience members that this is a different version of the character, and you could allow the production for The Brave and the Bold to take the time it needs to figure itself out, while not competing with Matt Reeves' rival Batman series. But I digress. I guess to wrap things up, I'm trying to be optimistic. I love these characters, and I want to see them displayed in the best possible way. But what I've seen so far has been a mixed bag, and the future projects aren't exactly instilling me with the most excitement. My fear is that when I finally do see these projects, they will end up with a less than cinematic look with a less than satisfying impact. I'm scared that this whole thing will end up feeling like the CW universe. Both universes looking kinda cheap, but replace that CW corniness with Gunn's played out edginess. But hey, I like to consider myself an optimist. He is a talented filmmaker, and there's still time to make these upcoming projects as good as they can be. And who knows, maybe Clayface will win an Oscar. But how do you feel about the DC universe? Comment below and let me know.